Welcome in, everybody. Ready to dive into this World Series? I mean, Yankees Dodgers, it's a classic. But this time it feels different, you know? I was looking over all the stuff he sent me, and wow, the numbers and the attention globally, even. It's pretty wild.
You hit it right on the head. This World Series is like a magnifying glass on how much money is just baked into baseball now.
Yeah, and it's not just like, what, team salaries? It's like the whole thing.
It is. Look at the Dodgers. They blew past the payroll record this season, spent more than anyone ever.
I saw parking was going for like 6 grand. I mean, come on.
It's crazy, right? Shows you how much people want to be there, how much money's flying around. But it's not all about just spending like crazy, though.
Right. The Yankees did it differently, right?
Exactly. Think about that Soto trade. They basically went all in on one guy. So we'll sacrifice some depth for a true superstar.
And it totally worked for him.
Absolutely. So you've got these two different approaches, both successful, facing off.
That's what makes it so interesting, but you mentioned a third market thing. What's that about?
So yeah, American fans are locked in, obviously. But there's another country that's gone nuts for this World Series, and it's because of Shohei Ohtani.
Ohtani, he's not even in the World Series, right? He's on the Angels.
Right, but his impact is massive, especially in Japan, his home country.
Yeah, I did see that. The viewership numbers from Japan were way higher than here, even with the games on at like 9 a.m. over there.
It's kind of mind-blowing, right?
Oh,
But Ohtani's a phenomenon over there. It's a few things all mixed together.
what makes him so huge, though?
Well, first off, the guy's incredibly talented. You can pitch ND at a super high level. That's almost unheard of in baseball.
Right, that two-way player thing.
Exactly. But it's more than just that. He's like a symbol of national pride for Japan
Yeah.
on the world stage, you know. They even delayed the premiere of One Piece to show the World Series.
One Piece, that's like their biggest anime, right?
Huge. So that just shows you the level of excitement.
Wow, so we've got these financial powerhouses, the whole world watching, and a rivalry that goes way back. But let's get into the teams themselves. The Dodgers were the favorites this year, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. On paper, they were stacked. I mean, their lineup, you had Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, even Ohtani for a while.
Crazy, but their pitching was rough, though, right? Lots of injuries.
It was brutal, like a revolving door of guys going down, a real Amarish unit situation.
For those who don't know, that's Amarish unit is from the Korean War. Basically means lots and lots of injuries.
Yeah, exactly. And even with all that, Freddie Freeman played on a really bad ankle, against doctor's orders even.
High ankle sprain, right. Those are nasty. You can really mess yourself up long term.
No kidding. Shows you how dedicated these guys are and the pressure they're under.
Yeah.
But that injury meant the Dodgers had to rely even more on their offense.
Which is kind of wild because their offense was already insane.
It was a crazy situation, but the Yankees had their own drama last year. Different kind, though.
Totally different. Yeah, last year they were a mess.
Big time off-field stuff, players not performing. It was a rough season for them. That's why the Soto trade was such a gamble. They needed something big.
And it paid off. He was their big bat. But wasn't there a comeback story on the Yankees, too?
Oh, yeah, Giancarlo Stanton. Everyone thought he was done after all those injuries.
Years of injuries, but then he just exploded in the playoffs.
Like a completely different player, huge home runs, amazing catches in the outfield. It was a true comeback story.
So you've got Soto, the steady powerhouse, and Stanton providing those big moments. No wonder they're here.
Makes sense, but even getting to the World Series wasn't easy for either team. It felt like the media, even MLB itself, really wanted this matchup, though, Yankees-Dodgers.
Yeah, I noticed that too. All the coverage was about those. It's like they were the only teams in it.
Remember those MLB tweets? They go nuts for a Yankee home run, but barely mention great plays from other teams still in the playoffs.
And that promo video focused on Ohtani and Judge. They weren't even playing each other.
It felt like they were pushing a story. And maybe that story is really about money and views more than anything.
That's a good point. MLB's a business after all, and Yankees-Dodgers, that's their dream matchup, right?
Biggest markets, most famous players, huge potential for profit. Makes you wonder how much of what we see on the field is decided off the field.
That's heavy stuff. So we've got these two teams, their own paths to get here, all this star power, but it's happening inside this whole other world of global fans, marketing, and the money side of things.
And that's what makes this World Series so interesting. It's not just baseball. It's about all the things that affect the game, you know?
This is already so interesting, and we've just scratched the surface. Let's get into some of the key moments that got us to this point.
We were saying how this World Series is about more than what happens on the field, but Gotta admit, the games have been pretty amazing so far.
Oh, for sure. The Dodgers especially. Their playoff run was wild.
Definitely. They barely got past the Padres, right?
Barely. And they wouldn't have without Kike Hernandez, remember that. Almost cut from the team, gets an eye exam, and suddenly he's a playoff hero.
Baseball can be so unpredictable, but that Padres series also showed just how much the Dodgers needed their hitters to win. Pitching staff was so messed up with injuries, they basically had to outscore everyone to move on.
I was reading that the Padres series actually had two starting pitchers from Japan, Yamamoto for the Dodgers, Darvish for the Padres.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Shows how global baseball is becoming. And then, of course, they played the Mets in the NLCS, put up like 46 runs in 6 games.
46 runs, that's insane for a playoff series.
It was a hitting clinic, but while the Dodgers were dealing with injuries and scoring like crazy, the Yankees were a different story. After last year's disaster, they looked like a brand new team.
Total turnaround, and I think a lot of that goes back to the Juan Soto trade. He changed their whole offense.
No doubt. It's amazing how one player can make that much of a difference. But they also had Stanton coming back. Everyone thought he was done.
After all those injuries, yeah, but then in the playoffs, he just came alive.
It was awesome to see hitting clutch home runs, making diving catches, like the Stanton from 5 years ago when he won MVP.
Gave the whole team a boost. So you've got Soto, the consistent power hitter, and Stanton with those big moments. No wonder they got here.
For sure, but it wasn't a cakewalk for them either. That Guardian series was intense.
Oh, man, that series was nuts. Had everything. Judge with the game-tying home run in the ninth, Stanton right after him with the go-ahead homer, and who could forget Ramirez with the big stick celebration after that game winner for Cleveland in Game 4.
It was an emotional roller coaster for sure, but in the end, it was Soto who sent them to the World Series. That 3-run homer in Game 5 must have been amazing for Yankees fans.
Yeah.
After last season, yeah, huge redemption moment for everyone. And speaking of fans, this World Series has gotten a lot of attention globally. Got to give Ohtani some credit for that.
I know we mentioned it before, but it's crazy. The viewership in Japan was double what it was here for some games, and they were on at like 9 in the morning over there.
It's wild. Ohtani's become a global superstar, ambassador for the sport almost. Makes you wonder if MLB is taking notes. Maybe we'll see more games overseas, World Series in Tokyo even.
That would be awesome. Would make sense with the growing international fan base. But going back to this idea of MLB maybe having a favorite in this series, it felt like they were really pushing for Yankees-Dodgers.
Oh, definitely. There's social media. They'd ignore amazing plays from other teams. Everything they put out was all about the Yankees and Dodgers, all that star power.
It felt like they were building up this Clash of the Titans narrative, maybe because that's what makes them the most money.
It does make you think, if that's what brings in the most money, will they keep pushing for those matchups? Will it be even harder for smaller teams to compete?
It's a good question. If it becomes all about the money and the story, does that hurt the balance of the league? But then all this global interest, especially from Japan because of Ohtani, that could be huge for baseball.
For sure. Think about it. Regular season games in Tokyo, maybe even a World Series game overseas, that would bring in a ton of new fans.
And a ton of money, which could then help those smaller market teams. It's a complicated situation.
It is. Lots to think about. But no matter what the future holds, this World Series has been one to remember.
Absolutely. Amazing plays, crazy comebacks, stories of these guys overcoming so much. It goes beyond just baseball.
It does. It reminds us that sports are about human stories. The players, the fans, the highs and lows, we all experience it together.
And now we're heading into the final games. The excitement is building. Can the Dodgers pull it off with all their injuries? Will the Yankees complete their comeback story? Either way, this World Series has already had a huge impact on baseball.
And you're now equipped to appreciate it all on a whole new level.
So go ahead, impress your friends with all your baseball knowledge. Enjoy the rest of this incredible series. Thanks for diving deep with us.
It really makes you think about the future of baseball, doesn't it? All this money involved, the global audience, it feels like things are changing.
Yeah, and not just like on the field stuff, but how the whole game is run. Like if this Yankees-Dodgers thing is the cash cow, will we see more of that? Will they get preferential treatment or something?
It's a possibility, right? If it's all about creating these big marketable events, could smaller teams get left behind? Could it hurt the competitive balance?
That's what worries me. But then there's all that international interest, Japan especially because of Ohtani. That could be huge for baseball, couldn't it?
Absolutely. Think about it. If they capitalize on that, regular season games in Tokyo, maybe even a World Series game overseas, that would bring in a whole new audience, new revenue streams.
And maybe that money could help support those smaller teams, right? Give them a fighting chance. It's complicated, though, isn't it?
Very complicated, lots of factors at play here, but One thing's for sure, this World Series has been something special, hasn't it?
Totally agree. Unbelievable talent on display, dramatic moments, these guys overcoming adversity. It's inspiring,
Yeah.
goes beyond just the game itself.
It does. It reminds us that at its heart, sports are about human stories, the players, the fans, the wins and losses. We're all connected through that.
We are, and now it's coming down to the wire. The tension is building. Will the Dodgers overcome all those injuries? Will the Yankees finish their comeback story? No matter what happens, this World Series has changed baseball, I think.
It has, and you've gotten a glimpse behind the curtain, a deeper understanding of what's going on.
I feel like I can watch the rest of this series with a whole new perspective, really appreciate all the nuances.
Exactly. That's what we were hoping for, to give you a deeper understanding.
Mission accomplished, and now I can go impress all my friends with my baseball knowledge.
Go for it. Enjoy these last few games. It's going to be an exciting finish.
I can't wait. And thanks again for diving deep with us, everyone. Until next time.